In this lecture, I will be revisiting a few schemes that can be used to solve the one-dimensional wave equation. Just to remind you, the wave equation was du dt plus c du dx is 0. And the first scheme, following from our earlier discussion that I'm going to discuss now, is the two-step Lax-Wendroff method. And the scheme is essentially an explicit two-step and a 3-time level method. So you will see what I mean by 3-time level method very soon. So step 1 for the scheme is similar to the Lax method that we covered. So it is similar to Lax, except that now we will apply the time derivative at, let me say this, we'll apply the scheme at I plus half when evaluating the time derivative. So what it means is, if I look at the wave equation, the dud term will be calculated at the location I plus half. So what it means is we'll have u I plus half at n plus half minus u. Technically, let me say this, what we are going to try and do is we will write this as u I plus half at n by delta t by 2, because the difference is time step difference is delta t by 2. But note that instead of writing it as u I plus half at n, I would actually replace this with u I plus 1 at n plus ui at n by 2. So I will replace that by an average, spatial average, plus c times ui plus 1 at n minus ui n by delta x is 0. Now the space derivative rather is also calculated based on a central difference scheme, because you can think of it that we are calculating the derivative at I plus half. So at I plus half we basically expand about ui plus half, so I get ui plus 1 and ui, and so this spacing essentially is 2 times delta x by 2. So this is step 1. Step 2 is we will use leapfrog at the time level n plus half. So we covered the leapfrog method a long time back, and so we are going to recall it now. So what I'll do is I'll say ui n plus 1 minus ui n by delta t, and this is essentially the leapfrog step, and you may convince yourself why this is leapfrog. This is leapfrog applied at n plus half plus c times. Now I will use the proper central differencing because I already have ui plus half and ui minus half similarly at n plus 1 by 2. So we'll have ui plus half n plus half minus ui minus half n plus half by delta x is 0. And you can also note that this is also a central differenced approximation. So as I said, this is a 2-step and 3-time level method. So you can see why it's a 3-time level method, because there are time levels n, n plus half and n plus 1. And it's a 2-step method because there are 2 steps One is essentially calculating the variables at n plus half. The second step is using the variables at n plus half to calculate variables at n plus 1. So this scheme has a truncation error which is of order delta x square and delta t square. So that is easy to see because we have used essentially space, central differencing in time and central differencing in space. And you can actually combine these two equations in terms of actual implementation, and if we combine, what you will get is that the algorithm looks something like this. ui n plus 1 would be ui n minus c delta t by 2 delta x, ui plus 1 n minus ui minus 1 n plus c square delta t square by 2 delta x square, ui plus 1 n minus 2 ui n plus ui minus 1 n, which is actually, if you compare, it is the same as the original Lax-Wendroff that we have discussed in this course. And since it is the same as the original Lax-Wendroff, the amplification factor and the modified equation are the same from that we can obtain from the two methods. The next scheme that I would like to use or like to explain is the MacCormack method, which was developed in 1969. And the utility of this method is that it's one of the most widely used schemes for solving fluid flow equations, especially when you have nonlinear PDEs. So this is for nonlinear PDEs and solving fluid flow equations. And it is actually a variation of the two-step Lax-Wendroff method. But what it does is, it removes the necessity of computing unknowns at I plus half and I minus half. So it removes necessity of computing at I plus half and I minus half. So we will compute only at integer values of grid points or integer numbering of the grid points. So this is a two-step method. It has a predictor step, and the predictor step is ui n plus 1, which I'm going to denote the temporary variable by a bar. So this is a temporary variable which I'm denoting by a bar on the n plus 1. This will be ui n minus c delta t by delta x, ui plus 1 n minus ui n, where note that I have used a forward difference to compute the temporary ui n plus 1. In the corrector step, what we do is we now use a temporary variable to correct our estimate. So ui n plus 1 is half of ui n plus ui n plus 1 bar minus c delta t by delta x, ui n plus 1 minus ui minus 1 n plus 1, where if you now note, a backward difference has been used with the convective term. So the predictor step uses forward and the corrector step uses backward difference. The differencing order can be reversed, and it is especially advantageous in problems which have which involve moving discontinuities. So this is advantageous in problems which concern moving discontinuities. So sudden changes in variables. If you combine the corrector and predictor step, you will again recover the original Lax-Wendroff scheme, and hence the truncation error is also order delta t square delta x square. But one of the main advantages of MacCormack, as I was saying, is that it provides good resolution at discontinuities. So the key advantage is the resolution that this scheme provides at discontinuities. This improved resolution happens because we switch the differencing in the corrector and predictor steps. So we have a forward difference in one case and the backward difference in the other case. And in fact, this is also the reason why this method or this scheme I have assigned as a project for you to work out in the class to see whether this scheme can actually resolve a sharp discontinuity in the flow. The third scheme that I would like to introduce is a higher order upwind scheme. So this is a second order upwind method which was proposed by Warming and Beam in 1975, and sometimes it's also known as the Warming and Beam method. And it's a variation of the MacCormack method, and it uses backward difference in both predictor and corrector steps. So just recall that in the MacCormack method here we actually had forward and backward differences. Here we'll use backward difference in both predictor and corrector steps, and we use backward differencing because we have a situation where C is greater than 0. If C is less than 0, then we will take forward differencing in both steps. So with this, the predictor step appears like this. We'll have ui temporary variable n plus 1 will be ui n minus c delta t by delta x ui n minus ui minus 1 n. The corrector step will be ui n plus 1 is half ui n plus ui n plus 1 bar minus c delta t by delta x ui n plus 1 minus ui minus 1 n plus 1 both at bar minus c delta t by delta x ui n plus 2 ui minus 1 n I minus 2 n. So that is the scheme. You can always combine the two steps, which I'll just show in a second. But more importantly, if you look at the scheme now, that this step, which is a backward difference step, is what will actually give this scheme a second order accuracy. So this will make it order delta x square delta t square accurate. So if we combine the two steps, what we will get is ui n plus 1 is ui n minus lambda times ui n minus ui minus 1 n plus half new half lambda times lambda minus 1 ui n minus 2 ui minus 1 n plus ui minus 2 n, where lambda is c delta t by delta x, and truncation error of the scheme will be order delta t square delta t delta x square. So in this scheme, the amplification factor that one can obtain using a von Neumann stability analysis is given by this expression here, where again lambda is a CFL number, c delta t by delta x, and theta happens to be the wave or the phase angle, which we can write in terms of the k value and the spacing, the grid spacing. So for this scheme, the stability criterion actually gets slightly modified. For stability, this scheme requires lambda to be less than equal to 2 and greater than equal to 0. It is greater than equal to 0 because we have taken c to be greater than equal to 0, and so there's a wider range in which the CFL number can vary. And if you try and plot the polar diagram for stability, which I'm going to try and do it here now. So what you'll see is, if the unit circle is something like this, so let's say this is a unit circle which happens to be the stability criteria lambda 1 and lambda 2, then the other function or the other variables between 0 and 2 will actually look something like this. For one set of nus, we will have, or one set of lambdas, we will have this. This is for lambda is 0.75 and 1.25, and we will have curve of this type, and this will be for lambda 0.5 and 1.5. and if you go to yet another value, we will see a curve of this type, which is for lambda 0.25 and 1.75.